Alright, so you must be wondering that why am I so cheerful and making this video right now, considering that I was rejected by my dream institution that I wanted to go to for the last 5 years. Yes, Harvard University rejected me. They deferred me in the early actions and then they rejected me. And I definitely know why you are in this video, because you want to know why. Why you got rejected or why you don't want to get rejected in the future, learning from my mistakes. But honestly, I think that you know the answer, but if you don't, watch till the end of the video. The first main thing that I keep on hearing from so many people is your SAT score or your ACT score, or basically any test score. Firstly, letting you know that I do not fall in the 75th percentile. However, I've seen people with way less SAT scores get into Harvard. So obviously, that's not a factor. Next, class rank, GPA. Don't worry about that because I got that covered in my school. If you compare it to the US system, it's gonna be a 5.0 weighted and unweighted probably, and class rank number 1. So yeah, that's not a factor. We do not have AP classes over here, but we have O levels and A levels. So in O levels I have 9 A stars, and in AS levels I have 5 A's, the maximum someone could ever achieve. So here, that is not a problem. And coming to the common app, I'm sorry, I have my phone right here where I've listed everything down. So coming to the common application, it was brilliantly filled. Like, I'm not bragging, but yeah, it was, and that's why I got into some great schools. About the writing supplement, this was the writing supplement I spent at least 1 month on. It was basically more than 15 to 20,000 words regarding how I viewed my life as a student, as a person, and as a human being. And honestly, a couple of people cried while they read this. And about the common app essay, it was about chess and how I related chess to programming, and that kind of appealed a lot of people. So that's not a problem. Next comes the recommendations, something that we unfortunately are unable to see what we are given. However, in some cases I was able to read my recommendations, and so basically I submitted the counselor's recommendation, that is a must, and then I submitted further 3 recommendations from the teachers, which includes my biology teacher, maths teacher, and computer science teacher. And furthermore, I gave 3 other recommendations, which includes one from the leader of this organization that I used to volunteer for. He is the current Deputy Commissioner of Taxes of Bangladesh, so he has a great post. And then I did one from my sports recommendation. Yeah, I'm not a sporty person, but I used to play sports, for example, badminton and chess, so I listed them down. And then comes my extracurricular teacher or ECO coordinator, my MU mentor, Zia sir. He technically wrote around 2 pages of my accomplishments and how I was better off as a person rather than a student. So yeah, and then furthermore, after I submitted my application to Harvard, they gave me a link where I could submit extra recommendations, and I was like, that should have been it, but as they gave me a place to fill, I filled it up. So I submitted 2 further recommendations from my other counselor who was from class 10, and also my chemistry teacher. So yeah, that included a total of, oh wait a sec, there was another recommendation that I submitted from the autism school that I volunteered for, which is known as the Spectra School of Autism. So overall, I submitted 10, I remind you, 10 recommendations to Harvard University. And that was not the case. Next comes the portfolio. Yes, I did submit a portfolio for Harvard only. In no other institution I'd spent so much time working my ass off for getting into. But I was like, in Harvard, out of 50,000 people who apply, at least 35,000 of them are gonna be the CEO of something. At least 1,000 of them are gonna have a perfect SAT score, so I gotta stand out. As a result, I submitted 3 portfolios of music, art, and others, which included all the MUN and other things, just to get into Harvard. And if I did not mention already, I submitted 4 extra creative writing to the Harvard portal, which included why I wanted to join Harvard, the Commonwealth Gold essay that I got for getting extra credit to from the admission officers, And I also wrote an essay about why socializing is my greatest skill. Furthermore, I gave them continuous high school update about what's happening in my life, what I was doing, the MUN I was attending and organizing, etc. So I did every single thing possible. But that's not the case. So clearing out everything, honestly, I'm not hating on Harvard. It's still one of the greatest institutions. All the computer science courses are better in UMich and Georgia Tech where I got in, but whatever. Overall, the institution is elite. There's a saying that Stanford is Stanford, but it's not Harvard. But yeah, it's called the Harvard of the West. And some institutions are called Harvard of this, Harvard of that. So obviously, this is a great institution, and kudos to all the people who got in this year. But, I have an issue. So before you guys get all unhappy and everything, here are some statistics of people who got in the previous years. So I'm talking about the class of 2023 because the stats of 2024 are not yet out. So you can all get the information from this website that's gonna be here somewhere or also in the description below. So they kind of say the amount of people who got in and all the stats about the students. So out of 43330 applicants, they admitted 2009 applicants, which makes the percentage around 5 or 6%. And geographically breaking it down, the percentages are
New England 16.6, Atlantic 21.8, South 9.6, Midwest 9.9, Central 2.0, Mountain 2.8, Pacific 14.3, Territory 0.3, and International where I fall 12.8.
So as a result, if you do your calculations, only 257 international students got in this year. I mean, the previous year, which is almost the same as this year. So yeah, I have a very little chance. Coming to ethnicity, none of these ethnicities fall for me because I am South Asian or Bangladeshi by my ethnicity. But here, there is nothing written as that, and there are African American, Asian American, Hispanic or Latino, Native American, Native Hawaiian. So yeah, I do not fall into that category. And out of that, a lot of people got into a lot of other subjects, for example, social science and biological science, but my major was computer science, which only had acceptance rate of 8.3% out of those 2009 people who got in. So yeah, that was not a factor. And another problem that probably was the reason I couldn't get in is I applied for financial aid, and obviously they are skeptic about giving people financial aid. So yeah, the total budget for attending the institution is $72,300 average, and I cannot pay even half of that honestly. So yeah, that's why I applied for aid, and it was not worth it. Another point which disappointed me the most. Out of those 2009 people, 36% of them were legacy students. And when it comes to legacy students, it actually means someone who is from a family where there has been at least one Harvard graduate. So now, if you do your calculation, already 681 spaces have been booked by them. And if we cancel them, the international acceptance drops down, and now the total number of people we are talking about is around 150 or 160. Out of those 150 or 160, the people who get in are either from, the first world countries, for example, Canada, to be first, and then followed by the others, and then finally coming to a country like Bangladesh, where normally the acceptance rate is one student every single year, but this year that did not happen too. And this might be offensive to a lot of candidates out there, but this time Harvard proudly said that there were comparatively more female acceptances than male acceptances. This kind of shows that they're empowering the women overall, but honestly, to a particular extent, I think that is not how it should go, because it's up to the university about who are they taking and who are they not. So obviously when you say that we are proud that we accepted more females than males, it's a bit hypocritical. So after all that, if you do your calculation, you're going to understand the fact that for an international male student with no sad stories, with a person not being a refugee, with a person having both the kidneys right now, with a person not flying away with a girlfriend and having, unwanted pregnancy, a guy having no stories like that would never get into Harvard. And as much as it sounds wrong, it is a fact. And I'm not demeaning by any way any student who got in this year or the previous years. You guys are pure talents. But what I'm really trying to say is, do not demean yourself if you get rejected, because there is gonna be an institution that's looking into you and saying that, yo bro, this is it. I saw a video a couple of months ago about this person you can see right here. He made a video about how he got rejected from almost all the schools and he finally got into a particular school where he's gonna attend. But is he a bad person? No. Are you a bad person because you got rejected from Harvard? Am I a bad person I got rejected from Harvard? No. It's all perspective. And if you ever have the question that why you were rejected from Harvard, you have two ways of thinking that. Number one, you are a loser. And number two, there were better candidates than you, and an institution like Harvard does not deserve someone as precious as you. This was it. Congratulations to every single one of you guys who got in, and if you guys did not, this is not the end of the world. And Stanford comes out today. Let's see, hoping nothing, but let's see how it goes. Stay tuned, stay blessed, and subscribe to DB Dom.